Alright, up front, spoilers for James Gunn's Superman and Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps. If you're still here, you've either seen both movies or you don't care. Either way, welcome. Also, this isn't a review of either of these movies, mostly because I already reviewed them individually before. This is a broader opinion piece, so let's get into it. It's kinda wild how similar these two movies are, right? I mean, both had a ton riding on them, both got dragged through endless controversy before release, deserved or otherwise, and both, this is the big one for this video, more or less ditched retelling their heroes' origin stories. Now, Fantastic Four kind of flirts with an origin by having a montage at the start, but Superman just kind of assumes you know who this guy is. James Gunn has said that there's moments in superhero movies we don't ever need to see again, and honestly, I agree. Krypton blowing up? We've seen it. The Waynes getting shot in an alley? We've definitely seen it. Peter Parker getting bit by a spider? We have seen it. Take the Fantastic Four. One of the biggest problems with pretty much every previous adaptation of the first family is they spent way too much time on the origin story and barely any time on the team actually being superheroes. Meanwhile, the early 2010s gave us a tidal wave of prequels. Bruce Wayne before he was Batman, James Bond before he was 007, Norman Bates before he stabbed people in showers. Some of these were very good, but after years of it, yeah, people were ready to move on. So, I'm fully on board with skipping the 45-minute long learning how to use powers montage. But there's a flip side to that. You see, in Superman, Clark's been the Man of Steel for 3 years before the movie even starts. He's already got the Fortress of Solitude, built robot helpers, he's met Supergirl, he's met Krypto the Superdog, he's fought Lex Luthor, and he's dating Lois Lane. In Fantastic Four, the family's already taken down Red Ghost and the Super Apes, Mole Man, Reed and Sue got married, the family became international superstars, all off screen. Don't get me wrong, I don't want or need a 3-hour-long movie about a young Clark Kent learning to be Superman and only wearing the costume for the final 15 minutes, but I would have loved to see him and Lois meet up for the first time. That playful banter, the secret identity dance, it's classic. Same with the FF. Give me a full movie of The Thing wrestling with his self-doubt, Reed and Sue falling in love, and Johnny being a maverick as the team fights Mole Man in his underground kingdom. I said before that both movies end up feeling like sequels to movies we never got. They're fun, I liked both, but you can feel the scripts bending over backwards to fit into their larger universes instead of just telling the best possible stories with these characters. Superman, for instance, is often portrayed as the first superhero of the modern era in universe, but he can't be that here because DC wants to compete with Marvel ASAP, and that means as many superheroes as possible, as quickly as possible. The Fantastic Four can't slowly build their fame over time because Marvel needs them Avengers ready like yesterday. By skipping so far ahead into their superhero careers, we're losing a lot of these iconic foundational moments. Stuff like Reed and Sue's wedding, or Metropolis meeting Superman for the first time. These aren't just homework stories that you slog through to get to the big stuff. They are the big stuff, and they help later plot beats have more of a punch. For instance, if we had gotten a proper FF intro movie where they fought, I don't know, Mad Thinker or whatever, then First Steps would have hit even harder. Here's that team you know and love, now here's them facing their biggest challenge yet. Instead, the script has to do double duty. introduce 4 brand new heroes, establish their dynamic, and tell a massive Galactus-level story all at once. Some critics felt that the family chemistry wasn't very strong, and I don't know if I totally agree, but that's the kind of thing you wouldn't even be worried about if you had already seen these characters in action together before. Same for Superman. The movie wants to tell a story about Supes trying his hardest to do good and find his place in a chaotic world, but it also has to introduce that entire world, which already has centuries of history and several relevant factions and characters living in it. Like I said in my review, the movie's juggling a lot, and it would be juggling a lot less if we had already gotten a previous film that introduced some of these elements. And this trend seems to be only beginning. James Gunn has already said that the DCU's first Batman movie will jump straight into Bruce meeting his son Damian. Comic fans will know that Damian Wayne is the 5th Robin, which means that Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Stephanie Brown will have already worn the red and green spandex by the time we get to our first Batman movie. And if that's true, there's no reason to think we won't have already blown past Barbara Gordon and Cassandra Cain as Batgirl too. And let me tell you something, most casual moviegoers don't even know that there's more than one Robin. Drop Damian on them and they're gonna be like, who? Wasn't Robin just one kid he adopted? Why is there like 5 of them? I would love a good Batman movie with Bruce and Dick as the classic dynamic duo, or Batman, Robin, and Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, or Bruce adopting Cassandra and making her Batgirl. Hell, give me all of the above. Watching the Bat family grow is half the fun. Jumping straight to Damian skips all of that and makes it harder to build those emotional payoffs later. So what's the solution? I'm not saying we need to go back to the full origin story movie every single time. I don't think I ever need to see baby Kal-El crashing in a cornfield ever again. But don't fast forward so much that you blow past some of the best stories these characters have to offer. Superman and Lois were in a will they, won't they for the better part of 40 years. It was only in the past few decades that the status quo became for them to be together. I think you should at least cover that time for a bit in an adaptation. In a broader sense, one of the great things about comics is seeing heroes evolve over time. Building these long, interconnected movie universes gives you an opportunity to replicate that feeling, but that's not gonna happen if you skip through stuff. If you put in the work, you'll be able to at least partially recreate the long, rich tapestry these characters enjoy from the comics, and I imagine that would be an extremely rewarding experience. But what do you think? Should superhero movies ditch origin stories entirely, or are we losing something by skipping ahead? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I want to hear your takes. Also, and this is something I've gone back and forth on whether I should include or not, but I actually have ideas for how I would make a Superman and a Fantastic Four movie of my very own. Both would be total reboots, okay? Not canon to either the MCU or the DCU. Would you guys be interested in hearing my ideas? If there was any interest, I could make videos about them in the future. Let me know in the comments as well. And hey, if you've made it this far, you're officially part of the superhero origin story of this channel. Hit like, share, and subscribe so we can keep geeking out together. See you next time when I finally review Yaiba Samurai Legend. Yeah, sorry about that. I said I would review that right after the Superman review, but it's just that I got sick and it just threw all my video projects out of whack, and I'm officially back on track and dead set on reviewing Yaiba. Until then, see you next time.